Kia ora. So today we're looking at running a water system, and we're looking at running a 200 metre hose. It's going to be gravity feed, which means that the source is always going to be higher than the final destination. So first things first, like the spring video, we always put a filter on the end down there. So we've got that filter on there, and it's the most important for this sort of system, just because you've got so much hose. And the worst case scenario with this is your filter blows off. If you've got no filter, your hose fills up with silt, and you probably can't really clean it, unless if you've got a break in the hose, but it becomes real difficult. So we'll show you a way to get around that. So I've also got it tied off here. I tie off the hose in the flash flood. It's going to hold it there, and it's not going to get all chucked down the river. And if you're looking at this, the path of water is running there. So in a flood, that'll be the strongest path. I've come to the side, and I'll put the hose in there, and that's purely so it's not in the main sort of line when it gets wild. And then I'm going to weigh it down with rocks. It's important to keep it low to the ground, because you don't want the end of the hose up and it's sucking air, and then you have problems down there, and then every time you come up you've got to walk 200 meters just to check and push it back down again, you know. So just to eliminate some of those problems. So we're about 10 meters down the creek from the source, from the filter, and down around here I'm going to find a flat area, and I'm going to set up what you call a sediment tank. I'll draw it up at home and show you what that is, and you can see what that looks like. So this is our settlement tank. If we look at the intake, we are 10 meters down from where our filter is, and it comes into a tank. We have our outtake, and that's the hose continuing and going to our house. Why you have this is if the filter blows off, you'll get all of this mud and sediment that's going to fall down and fall to the bottom of the tank. And on the bottom left there, you have a tap, and you can turn that tap and empty the sediment out. One thing about laying the pipe is you do not really want to be laying it in the riverbed or along the riverbed, anywhere where it can be flooded. Just keep it out of there and lay it somewhere else, just so you don't have to do that work, because there's nothing worse than a flood comes and you'll have to go collect sections of hose. I'm running this in a continuous length. That means all of the 200 meters, which has its benefits that you don't have any joins. If you're running it through your hose through a land and it has stock in the land, they will kick off the connections and things like that, and it can be quite annoying. So just keep all those things in mind. Another thing is if you're going through bush, walk the line where you're going to lay your hose, just because there's no point rolling a hose out and realizing that you can't get through there. So walk it and mark it out where you're going to lay it before you actually start rolling it out. Okay, we're about 100 meters down, and then we've come to a bit of a valley. Could be a river, something, and you need to cross it. You can't lay your hose flat along it, because it's going to sag, and if it goes into a river, that river could catch it and take your hose away. It's all really about making low maintenance systems. If you make a good system, you barely need to go up there, and if you make a bad system, it becomes a huge part of your life, you know, living off grid, and it's not really that fun doing the same thing over and over again. So I always recommend good systems. So what we've got here is we've banged in a waratah. I've run a bit of wire across this river, and I have put cable ties in there. You know, you can use whatever you've got. You could use a piece of string. The point is that it doesn't sag down into there and get caught in the river. So now we're going to start shooting it a little bit up the hill, pop it down, and then make sure everything's working. So that's it really. We've got our hose running 200 meters down, and it's flowing out of there. Just let the air bubbles work their way out, and then like anything, I always chuck a tap on it. Got those two fittings there, and then I can turn it off and control it. This pipe here is quite a thin pipe. The good part about it is it's cheap, but the bad part about it is you need a couple people, because as you're moving it, it kinks. Once it kinks, it kind of makes a funny bit in the line. So the black alkali thin pipe is good too. One thing about this is you might think, okay, this 20mm pipe, that's not that much water. When you bring it to somewhere like here or up the hill, that's where you'd put a water tank in. And from that water tank, then you can run, say if I'm catching 10,000 litres, I can put a big 50mm pipe off it and I can have high pressure shooting out everywhere. So that's what you'd do. Water's quite good because if it just trickles in, it slowly but steadily it'll keep filling the tank. Continuous is the key. Anyway, yep, thanks for watching, and I hope this works out for you. The next one I'm going to do is, say you don't have a gravity fed system. So we're going to look at, okay, how do you just pump water up the hill using our solar systems or generator or something around those.